We'll call the meeting to order for the day. The first item on our agenda is approval of today's agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda.
Some of discuss, are we going to discuss this environmental thing, or do we know what that's about, or is there something we should be talking about? I mean, what is that report about there? Do you know?
Confirmation of the Red River Basin Commission, that
Yeah.
issue. Ted Priester has been here, I think, a couple different times to talk about the program. We acted as a sponsor for the Red River Basin on a grant that they've received. And so today, what's in the packet is approval of that, of the work plan and also the budget for that study. So
There was a gal here a few months ago, wasn't he?
he was here a number of months ago, yes.
No.
Yep.
Okay, that's what that's about, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Citizens to be heard. Any citizens that would like to be heard on any item that is not on today's agenda? Seeing none, approval of payment of bills and vouchers.
Move approval. Second.
A movement or a motion to pay the bills and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from the May 21st, 2019 meeting.
Move approval.
I'll second, just to clarify that we are adding the dollar amount on the highway piece in the minutes.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the May 21st, 2019 meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have some employee recognitions this morning. Georgia Holdridge. Georgia has only 35 years. She started when she was 5 years old. Congratulations. Thank you. Steve, did you have something you wanted to say?
Thank you.
Well, we're fortunate to have Georgia. I think that if there's anybody that bleeds Clay County green, I think Georgia would do that. She wears very multiple hats in the county. Her main duty is taking care of the family service center or the polices. She's got the challenging job, though, also of making sure that we have a maintenance crew or custodial crew to keep the campus clean. But she also does a lot of other things that makes Clay County a great place to be. She's one of the main people for a holiday party. So throughout the year, she's getting that ready. She also took on this year the recognition for our longevity awards, and so we're very fortunate to have somebody like Georgia here at the campus. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Deb Benson, Corrections, 30 years of service. Wow.
Grant, have Julie use that microphone.
Okay.
Well, we do for the people watching on TV.
For the broadcasting.
For the broadcast, so you can just take it right off of there and hold it. There you go.
Okay, well, first of all, Deb, I want to thank you for all your years of service. A dedicated employee, couldn't ask for a better person. She's done a lot of roles in our jail. We're so happy. She's got people here that support her. Everybody at the jail looks for Deb for answers because she's got a wealth of information. So thank you so much, Deb. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Deb.
Grant, make sure the microphone's turned on too.
I'll take a Western. Let's see, next is Deb Reed with 25 years of service, social services. Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks for your service.
I'm back here.
Yeah,
I'm here. You're not getting me that easy. So Deb's been with Clay County for 25 years, but she was at Canby, Ojai County for 12 years prior to that. So she told me on the way over she's going to give us 40 years before she So Deb is our CD scheduler. She schedules all the CD assessments, but she really makes sure that our CD unit runs smoothly. And she is known by agencies in the community and even other counties for being kind of the residency police. So if there's any ever issue of if a person is a Minnesota resident or a Clay County resident, Deb gets to the bottom of that, and we truly appreciate that, because that's a huge issue being a border city. So we appreciate Deb and everything that she does for our unit.
Thanks. Karen Jenkins, probation, 20 years of service. Thanks for your service. Appreciate it.
I just wanted to say thank you to Karen for the 20 years that she's given. She is very dedicated, loyal, committed employee to Clay County. She does many, many things for all of our staff within the probation department. Keeps agent staff and myself very organized, efficient. She's part of the employee appreciation committee doing the Christmas party, holiday party, which I know is a big event and very much appreciated by all staff. Very loyal to Clay County. Thank you very much.
Tracy Cummings, Technology Services, 15 years. Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks. Thank you. Tim Dent is Tracy's supervisor. He's not here today, so he wrote me a speech. I have had the great pleasure working with Tracy during her 15 years with the Technology Services Department at Clay County. In that time, Tracy has worked her way up from an internship position to a computer support person to her current position as system administrator. Tracy performs her duties daily in a friendly and professional manner.
That might be questionable.
Many of her duties require her to work evenings and weekends, but she does without complaints. Tracy is a valued member of the Technology Services team.
Thanks, Bert.
Congratulations.
Lori Ishaug, motor vehicle, 15 years of service.
Careful.
Oops.
Now it's on.
Thank you. Congratulations. And Cheryl isn't here today because she's homesick, so I didn't get a script, so. Lori's a very hard worker. We've had lots of changes in our office with the 2 new computer systems, and she has handled it great. So, yes, she does an excellent job. Thank you very much.
So Grant, while you're coming back here, one of the things I've seen about Lori is she does another thing that's really important to the community too, and that's her volunteer work for the Honor Flight. Her and her family has done great work with that, so thank you for that too.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. A lot of years of service there this morning, so congratulations to everybody. So, okay, next item on the agenda is proclamation for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. So I brought along Corrine Graham. She's our full-time adult protection worker, and we thought Tracy London, our part-time worker, was going to be here as well, but we're thinking she got tied up with something. So we want to take just a couple of minutes to talk about our upcoming weed event, and then also just a little bit about our adult protection services at Clay County. So every year, June 15th is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. In many parts of the world, elder abuse occurs with little recognition or response. Until recently, this serious social problem was hidden from the public view and considered mostly a private matter. Evidence is accumulating to indicate that elder abuse is an important public health and societal problem. The Clay Cass Elder Abuse Coordinated Community Response Coalition is putting on our 9th annual World Elder Abuse Summit on June 12th, 2019.
Just to give you a little bit of information what our adult protection unit has been doing. In Clay County in 2017, we received 396 reports. 160 of those were investigated, and we had 8 emergency protective services responses. 2018, we received 422 reports, and 149 of those were investigated with 4 emergency responses. And so far in 2019, we've received 168 reports, and 59 of those have been investigated with 1 emergency response. The 2017 data for Clay County, we received 518 allegations of maltreatment and abuse of elders and vulnerable adults. 196 of those allegations were investigated. Self-neglect is the highest, with 75 reports, and financial exploitation is our second highest. For comparison, Olmsted County, with a population of 155,000, receives a total of 747 allegations, and of all of their allegations, 108 were investigated. And Olmsted County has 5 full-time workers in 2017. To break that down, basically it's the 5 full-time workers we serve about 31,000 people. Here at Clay County, with just over 63,000 people, with 1.5 full-time workers, we serve about 42,000 persons per worker. And again, in comparison, Olmsted County handles 22 allegations per worker, where Clay County, we're handling 67 allegations per worker. And then our 2018 data hasn't been collected and analyzed yet. And this last year, Clay County Adult Protection has had 2 cases of financial exploitation successfully prosecuted in the district court for financial exploitation. There are also 2 cases pending criminal charges, with one with over $300,000 of exploitation, the other one just over $5,000 of exploitation. In 2018, Clay County APS did over 450 hours in investigation of financial exploitation. On average, 45 to 50 hours per case is spent on investigating financial exploitations. These are not typically scams. These are typically financial exploitation done by a trusted family member or friend. So far in 2019, Clay County APS has recovered $120,000 for our clients and has been able to protect $750,000 in money and assets through conservatorships for our clients. And right now we're currently working on 4 different financial exploitation cases and have covered almost $300,000 of possible exploitation in our county. So we're busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Questions, Frank?
Now, other than being short of staff probably, but when you say so many cases have been investigated, who determines what to investigate, or what are those other cases that aren't investigated? Do we just say we don't have to look at them, or?
No, we have a screening team that gets together and we screen every report that we get. They have to meet certain criteria to be a vulnerable adult in the state of Minnesota. So we screen reports, and if they don't quite meet the statute, we are not able to investigate. So there's stuff going on out there, but the victim might not actually meet our vulnerable adult statute.
Okay.
Any other questions for these ladies? We have a proclamation.
We do. Would you like to read it?
And we'll read it.
All right.
Whereas Sunday, June 15th, 2019 is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Whereas the National Council on Aging reports that 1 in 10 Americans age 60 plus have experienced some form of elder abuse. Whereas elder abuse can be financial, emotional, physical, and sexual. It also includes people who are neglected and those who neglect themselves. Whereas we are all responsible for building safer communities by watching for and reporting possible abuse or neglect to the Minnesota Adult Abuse Reporting Center. Whereas the Clay Cast Coordinated Community Response Team's vision is to create a community in which people in later life can live in safety with dignity and respect. Whereas the Clay Cass Coordinated Community Response Team will hold an event on Wednesday, June 12, 2019, in observance of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Now therefore, in recognition of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, we, the Commissioners of Clay County, proclaim the 12th day of June, 2019, as Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Clay County, and encourage all Clay County citizens to recognize, report, and protect all vulnerable adults from abuse and neglect.
I'd move the resolution. Or motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank
Can I
you.
have you sign this?
I sure will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda, request approval to fill vacancy for full-time juvenile counselor for secure program. James, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm here today to request permission to refill a position that was recently vacated by Mike Paczynski. Mike Paczynski spent 22 years with us. I'd like to thank him for his service. He's looking forward to finishing out his career in a less stressful environment. So I'm here today to request to refill that position. There's going to be, he does have some unused vacation and whatnot that we got to pay out for county policy, but it's in our budget to rehire this position.
Any questions for James on this issue?
Move approval of request.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the request. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Highway Department. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Got two items on our agenda today. First one being approval of a joint powers agreement for the district-wide striping. This is the federal aid highway safety improvement program funds that we work cooperatively within our district. There's 12 counties in District 4, and we've been working pretty close with all 12, but I think Otter Tail is getting to a point where they're kind of taking on and doing a lot of work just themselves. So in the future, it'll probably just be 11 counties. So Grant County is the lead agency this year on this striping project. They put together the same type of joint powers agreements, almost word for word the same as how we've been doing them over the years, and sent it out for our approval. We actually took the lead on this a year ago, if you remember right, with the overhead lighting, and that was only 4 counties. What we did there is we took the north half of our district and combined them together, and Clay County was the lead on that one. And then on the south half, they put the counties together there that wanted to light intersections, and I don't remember who the lead was down there, but so these work pretty good. It's federal aid dollars that come through the ATP that have to be spent on safety type projects. We have a safety plan that identifies certain segments and certain intersections and conflict areas, so everything has to follow the plan. And if you remember, over the course of about the last year, we're working on an upgrade to our safety plan. We had a public input meeting where we gathered information from all the EMS and law enforcement and school boards and things. So that safety plan is how we get our projects and locations for these type of projects. So I did run this by county attorney's office just to make sure. There's been some new, Anthony's new over there, so I wanted to make him aware of it, and I believe he said didn't have any issues with it.
Questions?
Dave, is that, I see that you're saying it's going to go out to bid soon. Where all does that go?
As far as advertising, that sort of thing, I guess I'd have to check with Tracy and see.
Okay.
It's hard. Years ago, we used to have that construction bulletin, and that was so widely publicized, and everybody used that. Once that kind of went out of business, I believe they, I don't know if there's an AGC, I know there's a MnDOT site, there's kind of everyone uses that one office program.
Okay.
It was just kind of like e-time card, but it's the same company. And I think there's an advertising kind of an outlet there, so I imagine some of that.
I know we have, the reason I asked is we have some local companies that do that, and I'm wondering if,
Sure.
I'm hoping that they'll get a chance to see this and
Yeah,
and
anybody
bid on
this
it.
large, you know, usually it's about the 2 or 3, and there's 2 or 3 real big ones, and they end up, you know, being that they're doing 11 counties, you gotta have a pretty big,
Yeah, I know they go on the road a lot, so.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
I would, yeah,
Frank, what-
Need a motion, I'll, need a motion to approve this.
Train Powers, I second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the request. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Our second item is approval for an attachment for the backhoe that we, on March 19th, I brought request for approval of the backhoe. I guess I thought I had this attachment in the language as well, but as I look back there, I didn't. The attachment is, it's the same type of attachment we had with the past backhoe, and we did use maintenance funds at that time, being that the purchase in '09 was brand new. The internal service funds that we had available with the trade-in was literally within $1,000 of having enough money for the current backhoe we bought in March. This thumb is, the thumb and the coupler that attaches to the bucket or the stick on the backhoe is about $17,890, and we would like to request to use maintenance funds, and the way to do it through the county is to transfer that money into internal service funds, and I'd request we do that. We're keeping a close eye on our maintenance funds. I realize this may not have been in our budget for this year, but we do have enough funds in there to normally do our maintenance work, and there's a little extra money to do things like this, and we'll keep a close eye on it, make sure we don't don't overextend ourselves. We should be getting some money back from the FEMA, which will cover a lot of the overtime that we spent here this spring, as well as some of the repair costs and gravel costs that we had to repair some of the roads. So some of the funds that we have spent in the first quarter here this year should get reimbursed by FEMA, so it should be good.
Questions on this item?
So you don't need the thumb attachment, or this will cover the thumb attachment?
The 17,000 would cover the new thumb for the new machine, and they're kind of specific to each machine.
Yeah.
So when we traded the old one in, that one went with it. The one nice thing is, and I don't know what we'll purchase next time, but if we did purchase another cat, we'd probably take this one off and keep it, and we wouldn't have to repurchase it.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve the request. Any further discussion?
No, I guess the question I have now, the money came out of the maintenance fund when you used this extra gravel and all that this spring?
Yep,
So that money comes out, so when we get a payment from FEMA, that's gonna go back into that
correct.
maintenance?
Yep, that would backfill the budget
That's
for,
how it goes. Okay. Very good.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thanks,
you.
gentlemen.
Dave, I did forward photos of that road that I'd called you about
Sure.
to both Commissioner Gross and Commissioner Campbell, because I know you have highway tracking, and
We'll talk about it.
and I don't know if it would be possible to at least mark those several spots on that road, because it is getting
yeah, those
fairly
are gonna,
dangerous.
we'll
There's,
probably have to pull some of those chunks out of there so they don't start flying up, and
yeah, I mean, there were, 5-inch deep
boulders. and stuff like-
gouges, so just to mark
Well,
it,
it's something to get worse if you don't do something.
Yep, for sure.
so,
We'll
thank you.
talk about higher tracking too.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is request increase in fee schedule for subscribers of Laredo program. Kim Savage, over the recorder. Thank you. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Kim.
Just to give you a little bit of history, the Recorder's Office offers an online subscription-based program called Laredo. We started offering it in 2003 and then did kind of a trial period for subscription-based, and in January of 2005, the county board set a tiered pricing schedule to access this program. It's charged per minute. We have kept that same fee schedule since 2005. That Laredo program has received many enhancements, so our researchers have many new options available with the program. Recently, we did receive an increase in our license fee that our technology company charges us. So I would like to seek approval to increase our charge to our subscriber to cover the costs that I have received from our vendor. I would like, if you approve, I would like to set this fee to be effective January 1st of 2020.
Okay, questions for Kim on
Can
this?
can you tell us, so these are these are the rates you want to go to?
On the first page here, those are our current rates.
Okay.
And then the second page is what I would like to
Okay.
propose
Okay.
that they be increased to.
And that you, in your estimation, is what it would take to cover your costs?
That would cover the costs, and it also is in line with what other counties that are using the same program are charging for their subscribers, so we would be pretty universal across the state for people accessing the same program.
What year did we start this?
2005,
Okay, so we haven't had an increase for
it'll be 15
14.
years.
And you have some agencies that use it quite a bit, I suppose.
Yes, I have 5 different customers that use it unlimited, so they're in there quite a bit, and I have 30 subscribers overall that use this program.
And you'd notify all of them in advance?
Yeah, yep, I plan to send out new contracts, and I plan to send them out their usage over the last year so that they can review, so maybe can look at changing their plans if need be.
So this is a yearly contract they sign? Because I'm wondering why we're waiting until January 1st to start, or that they sign a contract for a year?
Yeah, well, some of the companies pay for a whole year in advance. And so if I started it in January, it would give me time to get out new contracts to them and then not have to deal with asking for an additional payment for them for this year.
I make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion then?
Yeah, I just want to comment too, this kind of falls in line with, I know Commissioner Mojo, quite some time ago, we wanted everybody to look at their fees and to make sure that what we were charging was recouping our costs, and so this is another good example of that, and I think this is good to do. I'm surprised we haven't done it since 2006, but.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thanks, Kim, good work.
Thank you.
Committee reports.
Thank you. Last week I attended a meeting with the auditors for MetroCog as the board chair, just to review anything that they had come up with. So we will talk about that at the executive committee of that board tomorrow. And I'm in the process of doing the executive committee reviews, or executive director reviews for the MetroCog director as well as the Lakeland CEO. So that concludes my report. Oh, and I attended breakfast on the farm, and I just want to say that it's Holly Week, and I appreciate the hard work that the Holly Lions and the Holly FFA kids did, and the sponsors and all of the people that attended. It was truly a great day to do that. So get out to Holly and attend some of the Holly Rodeo Week festivities. Thank you.
Kevin?
Okay, last Monday we had our 2 construction meetings. One was regarding the correctional facility in the LEC. I think they're scheduling the walkthrough, the 11th month walkthrough for the LEC this month, right? Yeah, it's coming up. They have a date planned where they basically go through that and get ready to sign off on the 1-year deal for warranty purposes on the LEC.
You feel like we've,
Yeah.
any concerns that have come up?
Yeah,
we've
oh yeah,
addressed
they've,
that at
Steve Lansom and Tori and those from the Morehead PD have done a really good job with really going over the place with a fine tooth. I know there was some issues on all the windows with sealing them, and so I think they've gotten all that taken care of now, and yeah, so they've done
They've stayed on top of it, I think.
Yeah.
And they've had a pretty good response, I
Yep.
think, to the issues, and they got
Yeah,
them resolved.
yeah, so
fairly
so I think they're pretty pleased with, that everything's, I mean, construction engineers gets right on it when they say there's something wrong with it, so. Then as you can see out there, the phase 2 of the project for the correctional facility is going well. The shell is pretty much just about enclosed now. Almost all of the internal floors have been poured, and so they'll be getting ready to, put in the walls in there, and I think we're still on track for September, is it?
I think moved October,
Oh, yeah, moved to October, okay, yeah. And that was, I think that was due to
February.
that bad, that snap where they just couldn't do anything outside. So that was that, and then, and again, the contingencies on those two projects are doing really well. You know, we're moving right along, and we see very little. I think there was one contingency item that was coming out of the owner contingency, and that was a modification to the boiler, a heater in the boiler unit for. There was one area that they, when we put in the two new boilers in there was an area that, because they changed some piping, that room stayed cold, and so they had to, and that was like a $4,700. So it's certainly well within what we have plenty there to cover that. The Regional Juvenile Center, that continues to move along. There weren't any real surprises this time around with contingencies. We continue to monitor it. It's one that we'll have to kind of hold our breath on that one as we move forward. And then yesterday, we had a chairs coordinating meeting for the Diversion Authority, for the executive group. And one of the things of note there, if you recall, when the federal judge lifted certain portions of the order to cease the project, he allowed for the inlet structure to go on as well as some other things. But one of the things that was still required was that the DNR had to sign off on each of those items as they occur. And the Diversion Authority did receive a letter from the DNR approving that they move forward on the inlet structure. So that's a major, another major milestone. And so that, I think the Ames Construction had that contract with the Corps of Engineers, and I think they're scheduled to resume that project now around June 10th. And then they're going to let the wild rice control structure bid later on, I think in September, I think it is. So they'll be starting that one. So I think you're between those two, you're probably close to $100 million worth of work that's going to be going on. And let's see. Oh, I had mentioned that I thought that we'd see John Shockley here regarding that formation of that JPA between, and it looks like he's going to be going to the city of Moorhead next week to present it to them with the idea in mind that they would approve it then on around the 24th, I think is whatever that Monday is. And then he's scheduled to come to us on the 18th to present to us with the idea in mind then that we would hopefully approve it the following week. So, but you'll see something in a packet in advance of that to be able to review. If you haven't already, I think if you haven't already gotten a draft of it, you will be getting it in advance. So, tomorrow I'm going with the Diversion Authority chair and some technical people to St. Paul to meet with the DNR and the Corps and the Buffalo Red Watershed District. So,
Thank you.
that's all I have. Yep.
Frank?
Last Tuesday, I met, we had a Criminal Justice Advisory Committee meeting, and that's really not, I don't know whether they plan on starting they plan on having additional meetings, but it's not on one of the committee meetings, so I don't know whether we need a commissioner there or not, and if we do, We have to appoint, make that a committee meeting and,
I thought we used to have somebody on a criminal justice.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I don't think they've been meeting regularly of late, but I think Janelle is now wishing to look, I think she talked about meeting on a monthly basis now again, so.
I think I'm on that. But,
I thought.
But it's been years since they.
It's not on your list.
I think
right?
Mike, that was here from Corrections before, used to have a meeting.
Stoltman, yes.
Yeah, Stoltman, but. yeah, it's
It
been-
sounded like they wanted to start out having almost monthly meetings till they get going.
Yeah.
You know, we had the probation there, attorney's office, the jail staff, sheriff's staff, and, so there's quite a variety, and they feel like they need to coordinate their activities, what they're doing, so when the judge orders this, you know, they all gotta coordinate, what each one has to do, so.
Makes sense.
And they felt that, they need to get together and get that thing going, so I don't know if we wanna, I don't know if it's necessary for one of us to be there or not. If it is, then we gotta get it back on the committee list or something like that, or appoint somebody who's on it, so.
I think it's still on the list.
Oh, okay.
I'm quite certain there was a criminal justice committee or something like that we had for that.
And we had, anyway, we had a good discussion there over the people that were there, and it was, I think it's something important. They have to get together and find out what each group is doing. Steve.
Steve, you can look into that, and then maybe next week we could appoint somebody.
I will do that.
Steve was there also, and he can probably report more on it. They talked about the STS program, Sentence to Serve program. Mark is back now, so they got two groups to go out again, and so they're back in full staff there. So after that, Thursday I went to Georgetown Township, and everything going okay there. They did have some problems with some roads, which we'll discuss at highway tracking this morning. Saturday, breakfast on the farm. It's unbelievable the amount of people that come out there, but it's long. For some, it's a wasted drive to get a pancake and some sausage.
It was good sausage, though.
No, it was just amazing the amount of people who had a great day there. It was just a good time. Last night I went to Georgetown City Council meeting, and things are going good for them there. And they had some same concerns about some roads that I'll discuss at highway tracking this morning. Those were my meetings.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On Thursday, May 30th, I attended the board meeting of the Clay County Collaborative Governance Board at the FSC, and we reviewed the 2020 budget and discussed the coordinator's contract. And the coordinator asked me personally to intercede in space requirements or space needs over at the FSC on her behalf so that she can still keep her very small office operating. And so I told her that I would make a request that we do so. And her husband had surgery yesterday. I didn't hear what the results of it was. He was having heart surgery yesterday with Dr. Newman in Fargo, so I haven't got the update on that yet.
Good doctor.
That's my report.
Thank you. I had the jail and detention construction meeting last week, and Kevin reported on that. And I had Minnesota Rural Counties meeting yesterday, and after about a good half hour of technical difficulties again, we got the meeting started. And they had some legislators there to give, but that was pretty much the meeting, report by some legislators on how the session went this year. So, and I think everybody kind of knows what happened there. So that was it for me. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to follow up on Commissioner Gross, I think one of the challenges at our Criminal Justice Advisory Board discussion was the enforcement of pretrial release conditions. They're having more and more people that are needing to be watched prior to going to court, and the challenges with heavy caseloads of how do they do that and how do they coordinate with everyone. And I do think in the STS program, they've been a little bit slower of late, and so they just wanted a reminder that nonprofits, government agencies, and townships are able to utilize that STS crew. I participated that day on also the correctional and law enforcement owners meeting. At a recent board meeting, when we were discussing our strategic planning, campus needs, I believe Commissioner Gross mentioned about looking into possible buildings study on campus. I did reach out to Scott Fedek from Klein McCarthy. And on Tuesday last week, after the owners meeting for the LEC, we took a tour around the Family Service Center, and he's going to put together some information for the board's consideration on the space needs. He talked about anywhere up to about $50,000 would be an area that we would be looking at. Let's see. On the 28th, that evening, I also participated. I went to the Morehead City Council meeting, the discussion on the Fueling the Future with Joe Razzo and the chamber representative. They're looking at the three initiatives: people, prosperity, and place. On a 4-year plan, they're looking to raise roughly $5 million between private and public sector to look at those different initiatives. So they had gave that presentation to the City Council. They're looking at establishing a board of 15 members, which would be roughly 11 from the private sector, 4 from the public sector. And they also have an advisory board. Currently, they have Xcel Energy, Sanford, First International Bank and Trust, Microsoft, Gates City, Eide-Bailly as private contributors. The City of Fargo and West Fargo have also agreed to contribute or pledge $400,000 over this 4-year period. And so we'll be looking, Joe will be coming to our board in July 9th just to give us an oversight of the program. At the meeting, there wasn't necessarily an ask that day, but any type of funding would be appreciated. In order to be on the board, the county would need to provide $400,000 pledge over the 4 years, and so that was the city had some concerns about that. Certainly, part of the plan is looking at supporting career academies, shovel-ready sites, which Clay County has started or has established the certified shovel-ready sites, and so. The idea was well received, I think, from the city. The concern is of course the cost, and so. But I believe.
I have a question quick. So they're asking the same amount from every entity. So Clay County would be asked to pay the same amount as Fargo.
In order to get a seat at their advisory board, you have to contribute $100,000 per year over the 4 years. So you can contribute any dollar amount, but to get a seat at that board, you have to contribute to that level.
Thanks.
Just a few other things. Last week, participated in a conference call with Karen Brook and Mike Rangel on some legal issues. In multiple meetings with Matt Jacobson, new planning and zoning director, looking at involvement on the One Watershed, One Plan Advisory Board. He's been asked to participate on that by Kevin Kassenberg. With his background, that might be a good option.
Well, he was running it.
Right.
I mean, so I think it probably is a good option.
Yeah, and also looking at the Red River Flood Committee Drainage Reduction Work Group. So, so he's off and running. On the 29th, I participated. I went to Dave Sunday's open house retirement. Had department head evaluation. Had some discussions with concerned citizen. The budget packets went out last Thursday afternoon, so our department heads are at it to meet the deadline. I believe it's the 21st to have those turned in. Had some follow-ups from concerns that were addressed on the Lakeland mobile mental health crisis unit. I think we'll be having, Rhonda's been out of town for the last week or so, but I think we'll be looking to set up some meetings to talk about that. And two, just next week we will, at board, we'll be having our first look at the David Drown's presentation on our market study. And so that concludes my report.
Thank you. Tony, anything for us?
Nothing on my end.
Nothing? Wayne, anything you need to know? We're adjourned.